Hello and good afternoon, CSI157 Section 841 students at Anne Arundel Community College. This tutorial is going to walk you through the required steps to complete PacketTracer activity 4.2.4.5. As you can see, I already have the Cisco PacketTracer software open and running. So what I'm going to do now is go to my folder where I have my PacketTracer activities and have the source files. Okay, and as you can see, we're going to be doing connecting a wired and wireless LAN, which is exercise 4245. So I'm going to double click that and it'll open up here. All right. I'm going to enter my profile information in. All right, so we've entered my name, my email address. Now we're going to go ahead and resize a little bit here. I need to see this window. Okay. So again, this is the PacketTracer activity window that will allow you to check your results, see where you're at and how you're doing. So this is the topology that we're working with. You can see we have a cloud, we have two routers, a cable modem, a wireless router, two PCs, as well as a home printer, a switch, and a configuration terminal and a server. All right, so here's the information for each of these devices. If it has an IP address, it tells you which interfaces are available. And so let's go down to the objectives. So connect to the cloud, connect router 0, connect remaining devices, verify connections, and examine the physical topology. All right, so let's start with part 1. Connect the cloud to router 0. So it says at the bottom left, click the orange lightning icon, which is this icon right here, and it'll provide you with a series of connectivity options. As you can see, I've got automatically choose the connection type, console cable, copper straight through, copper crossover, fiber, phone. If we slide to the right a little bit, we've got coaxial cable, serial DCE, serial DTE, and an octal cable. So we'll move back. And so these are the connections from which you can choose. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. It says choose the correct cable to connect router 0 FA00 to cloud ETH6. It says cloud is a type of switch, so use a copper straight through connection. If you have attached the correct cable, the link lights on the cable turn green. All right, so it's requesting that we use a copper straight through, which would be this one here. So I'm going to click on that. So we're going to come up here, and again, it's asking to connect router 0, and I click on the router, and FA, which stands for Fast Ethernet 00, to cloud, and remember the cloud is kind of like a switch, so we're going to use ETH6. And I'll click that connection there, and as you can see, both lights have come on green. Now, another way to confirm this, at least from the router's perspective, would be to click on the router, come into the CLI. We're going to go from user exec mode into privileged exec mode, and I'm going to type show int, and we used interface FA0/0. As you can see here, it shows that the Fast Ethernet 00 interface is up and the line protocol is up, showing that it is connected and operational. If I were to type in show run, we would see that there's also a Fast Ethernet 01 interface, and there are a couple serial interfaces, serial 000 and 001, and there's some additional configuration information here. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that window out. And so that's step 1. So at this point, let's go ahead and check our results. And again, you click check results and you can take a look at the assessment items. So here we are. One of the cloud steps is link to router 0, connect to Fast Ethernet 00. So that's worth 5 points, and as you can see, we got that correct. And from the router's perspective, a router 0 task was to link to the cloud. And so we've already received 5 points for that, which is why our score shows a total of 10 out of 80. All right, on to the next task. Let me slide back down here. All right, connect the cloud to, connect the cloud to cable modem. So it says choose the correct cable to connect cloud coax 7 to modem port 0. It says if you have attached the correct cable, the link lights on the cable turn green. And again, your key here is the cloud interface is coax 7. So from this, we're pretty certain that this would be a coaxial cable connection. So let me go to the cloud interface, coax 7, and that's going to come down to cable modem or modem port 0, which is also expecting a coax connector. As soon as I click, as you can see, they both light up green. All right, part 2, connect router 0. So now we're going to connect router 0 to router 1. It says choose the correct cable to connect router 0 serial 000 to router 1 serial 00. Use one of the available serial cables. If you've attached the correct cable, the link lights on the cable will turn green. All right, so there's a serial DCE connection, and there's also a serial DTE connection. So let's grab an octal cable here, just to prove that if I try to hook up the wrong cable type, right? So it says the cable cannot be connected to that port, and so it knows there's a connection error there. So I'll go ahead and we'll grab the DTE cable, and let's see what happens. So I'll try to connect from serial 000 over to serial 00. And as you can see, whoops, device is unfortunately I'm unable to move it. I was going to try to clean it up a little bit and move it a little over here. But these are green, right? And that means that we've got success there. All right, so now connect router 0 to netacad.pka. Choose the correct cable to connect router 0 FA01 to netacad.pka, FA0. Routers and computers traditionally use the same wires to transmit, 1 and 2, and receive, 3 and 6. The correct cable to choose consists of these crossed wires. Although many NICs can now autosense which pair is used to transmit and receive, router 0 and netacad.pka do not have autosensing NICs. So if we connect the wrong cable, we would expect that it's not going to turn green. So we have a straight through and we have a crossover. So let's see what happens if we connect a straight through to the fast Ethernet 0 interface on netacad.pka up to router 0, FA01. As you can see, the link is red. And we're going to give it a couple seconds to see if it comes up. And as I mouse over, you can see that the interfaces are being displayed. And so while that's sitting there red, let's go ahead and remove it because it doesn't appear that it's going to work. So the straight through cable, and then let me switch it back over to that. Whoops, sorry. So the straight through cable didn't work. So let's try the copper crossover cable. Connect that to fast Ethernet 0 and to fast Ethernet 1. And so immediately they light up green because this requires a crossover cable to connect through. And again, your key was where it indicated that the correct cable to choose consists of these crossed wires. And so then we end up with a crossover cable, and that's green. So let's check our results. Let's see how we're doing here. So we'll take a look at the assessment items. And we're halfway done. Our score is 40 out of 80. And as you can see, we've got several green checks. But we also have several red X's that we need to address. So again, we'll close that out. Okay, and we just did that. So now we're on step 3. So it says connect router 0 to the configuration terminal. So choose the correct cable to connect router 0 console to configuration terminal RS-232. This cable does not provide network access to configuration terminal, but allows you to configure router 0 through its terminal. And so typically that will be a console cable. So let's select the console cable. We'll come up to Configuration Terminal, and we're going to connect it to the RS-232, and that's the type of cable that's used as a console cable. And I'm going to connect it to the console port. Now you'll notice that these remain black. They don't light up as green. They light up as green in PacketTracer for connections that provide network connectivity. For connections that aren't providing network connectivity, and this is again, this is just simply a console connection, they're going to be black. And you can see here, if you attach the correct cable, the link lights on the cable turn black, which they have. Alright, so now it's asking us to connect the remaining devices. Choose the correct cable to connect router 1 FA10 to switch 1 FA01. If you attach the correct cable, the link lights on the cable turn green. Allow a few seconds for them to transition from amber to green, and that's for spanning tree to converge. So let's see what happens if we take a straight through cable, and I'm going to come up to router 1, and on router 1 we needed to use FA10, which is this fast Ethernet interface here. And it's interesting, right? So we're going to use a copper straight through cable, and we should receive an error. It says the cable cannot be connected to that port. So typically we would use a copper connection to connect these two together, but when I clicked on the router, you can see that we're not receiving what appears to be an RJ45 icon, right? So this looks like an RJ45 plug, and so does that for Fast Ethernet 00 and 01. However, Fast Ethernet 10 appears to be a appears to be a fiber connection. So let's try with fiber, and let's see what happens. So I'll come up to router 1, Fast Ethernet 01, and then we'll bring that down to the switch here, see if I can't get that line to be straight. And again, you can see there's multiple gigabit Ethernet interfaces with RJ45 plugs, but Fast Ethernet 01 on the switch, just like the activity's asking, appears to also match and be a fiber connection. So you can see it lit up green immediately on the router. The switch is going to run through its spanning tree calculations, and that's why this interface is going to be amber and blink for about 30 seconds, at which point it should transition over to a solid green. And so while we wait for that to transition to solid green, we'll come down to step 2, which is connect cable modem to wireless router. So it says choose the correct cable to connect modem port 1 to wireless router internet port. If you attach the correct cable, the link lights on the cable will turn green. And so while I was reading that, you can see here the fiber has now lit up green, and the port has been properly connected into the router from the switch. All right, back to the modem port. So we're going to connect the modem port 1 to the wireless router internet port. And so let's come over here, and let's see what happens if we select initially. Let's go ahead and give it a try with a straight through copper cable. Whoops. We'll choose a copper straight through cable, so to the modem port number 1, and we'll come down to the wireless router here, and we'll choose the internet port. All right, so it was a copper straight through cable between the modem and the wireless router, and both links, as you can see, have lit up green, so we know that we have a working cable. Step number 3 is connect wireless router to family PC. It says choose the correct cable, excuse me. All right, so let's try straight through again. So here's my family PC, and there's my fast Ethernet interface. So we'll pick that one, and then we'll come up here to the wireless router, Ethernet 1. All right, and let's see what happens. So we have a green link here, but it's amber. And again, on a wireless router, you have multiple switch ports, so it's probably doing a spanning tree calculation, but let's see what happens. And while that's working, we'll come down to verify connections, where we're going to test the connectivity from the family PC to netacad.pka. And so we're going to go ahead and wait here. Again, waiting for that. There we go. All right, so it's a copper straight through cable. So from the family PC, I'm going to open up the prompt for the family PC, and it says open the web browser, so we'll come to the desktop, we'll come to the web browser, and I'm going to type in http:// netacad.pka and hitting enter. Interestingly enough, when I hit enter or return, it doesn't do anything like it would typically do in Firefox or Mozilla, or, I'm sorry, or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. So it wants you to click go. So I click go, and it says netacad.pka, my favorite page. And so that worked as we expected it. And so I'll close that down. So that was step 1 in testing connectivity. Step 2 is to open the home PC command prompt and ping the switch IP address to verify operations. And so here's the home PC, but we need to get the switch IP. So let me roll back up here, and we've got the switch IP as 172.16.0.2. So let's open up the home PC, click over to the desktop. I'm going to get a command prompt, and I'm going to type in ping 172.16.0.2, which is the IP address we have listed for the switch. And then the command is going to run. First request timed out. So we had a couple requests time out, and then the connectivity went through, typically because of ARP entries having to be made. But now when I ping it again, all of the attempts work. And again, don't panic if you see request timed out for the first or even the second, because there's a possibility again that it's having to process ARP entries in order to populate the ARP cache. Now if all of them show as request timeout, then you've definitely got some sort of connectivity issue. But as you can see here, our subsequent attempt, all 4 ping requests worked without any issues. All right, so let me close this down, and we'll close this down. I'll roll down here. Whoops. Still testing connectivity. So open router 0 from the configuration terminal. And so here's our configuration terminal. Whoops. Clicked it a little fast there. So we'll come to the desktop and terminal. And our settings are 9600 baud, 8 data bits, no parity, 1 stop bit, and no flow control. And those are correct. So when I hit enter, as you can see, I'm logged in. So if I type show IP interface brief, and again, I'm in user exec mode, it's going to show me a list of the interfaces on the router and along with their status. And you can see Fast Ethernet 00 is up and up. Fast Ethernet 01 is up and up. Serial 000 is up and up. And these last 2 are administratively down. And what that means is they've been shut down. So if I were to do a show run, you can see it thinks it's invalid because, again, I'm in user exec mode. So I need to be in privileged exec mode. And if I type in show run, we would expect to see that VLAN 1 is in fact shut down and serial 001 is in fact shut down. So when I did the show IP interface brief, it showed me the status. If I go into configuration terminal or global config mode and then go into interface configuration mode, and we'll go into VLAN 1, if I type no shut, it says the state has changed to up. And now let's go ahead and go back. I'll go back to privilege exec mode, and I'll type show IP interface brief. You'll see that now VLAN 1, it's no longer administratively down, which means it's shut down. It's actually up because we did the no shutdown command. The protocol is still down, but we've brought the line up. And so that's definitely one way, and one thing that you should check when you're working with routers or switches is to check to make sure that the interface status is what you expect it to be. Okay, let me go ahead and shut that down because we've confirmed that. Now it says examine the physical topology. Click in the physical workspace. Right, so if I click out here in the physical workspace, it says tab, or click in the physical workspace tab, or press Shift P and Shift L to toggle between logical and physical. And so as you can see up here, I've got the logical view. If I click here, I've got the physical view. And so this is showing me a physical view of my network as opposed to a logical view. So on the physical view, if I click on the Home City icon, you can see that it drills down and shows me a little bit more granularity in what I'm looking at. So there's the cloud, the primary network, secondary network, and my home network. It says click the cloud icon, how many wires are connected to the switch in the blue rack. So if we click on the cloud icon, you can see that there's a cable here and there's a cable here, and that is Ethernet 6, which is the source port. The destination device is router 0. And then if I mouse over this connection here, as you can see, it's not giving me anything. There we go. Oh. All right. So that's just the PT Cloud NM1CX. And so there are two connections, and over here you've got your power cord and there's your power switch. All right. So it says click back to return to the home city. And so the back button is right there. So I'll click back to return to the home city. So examine the primary network. If I click on the primary network, it's going to show me that there are multiple connections here. And again, if you mouse over slowly, it will give you information about those connections, right? And there's a serial connection there. All right, so then I'll click back and examine the secondary network. And here's the secondary network, and there are the fiber connections that we previously connected in. Okay. And then there is a serial connection for the router. And there is also a fiber connection for the router. And so again, just gives you an opportunity to mouse over the different areas of the hardware, and it'll provide you with information as to what those ports do. Let me mouse over this here. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and click back, and I'm going to change back to the logical view, and let's check our results and see how we did. We'll come over here. All right, so it's 80 out of 80, which is 100%. All 16 items have been completed. No information for the connectivity testing, and all green checks. All right. So this has been, and you can see here, congratulations, the overall feedback. You've successfully completed the PacketTracer, and that's where you want to make sure you get to when you're doing your PacketTracer activity. So again, this is PacketTracer 4.2.4.5 for the Spring 2014 Anne Arundel Community College CSI157 Section 841 students. Okay, I hope you have success with this PacketTracer activity. If you have any questions, please be sure to contact me, and I will see you all Tuesday night. Have a great evening.